Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another week at the Collegiate Star League's League of Legends Spring Season Playoffs. My name is Reed Rapid Melton. For joining me once again is Joshua Fekez Quest. We are back tonight for a best-of-3 playoff match between the University of California San Diego's UCSD Tritons taking on the University of Waterloo Warriors.
Yes.
They're coming your way here tonight, and yeah, both undefeated teams, man. Doesn't get much better than this.
Yeah, that's what I was about to mention. They both went undefeated in both the fall and the spring so far, and now they're clashing head-to-head. Only one team can go on to the road for DreamHack. Somebody else, the other team, they have to pull over and fix their vehicle until next year. We'll see who decides to go, or I guess we're not going to see who decides to go. Who is going to go? Rek'Sai, the first one, banned out this time by, I think, it's Waterloo on the left side now, yeah? They did have a little switch.
Yeah, we do have to switch things around here. So it'll be Waterloo on the left side with UCSD on the right. So we swapped sides for the game. And in case you guys are wondering about this guy up here, Aurelian Sol, you will not have to worry about him for tonight's games. New champions are banned for 2 weeks. Give our players time to sort of adjust to them. I know I played my first Aurelian Sol game today. It did not go well, so I'm glad we're not seeing it here in competitive play. But yeah, so a lot of stuff to talk about for UCSD. Now, these guys are no joke. They've been playing in the CSL ever since back when we had our first big CSL tournaments. I remember the first time I saw these guys was in CSL Redux, which was one of our first big preseason tournaments. So big fan of UCSD, been casting for a long time. Some challenger players on the team, but they are challenger in 3s. So this is gonna be a game where I would expect maybe a slight advantage there, but then you look towards the other team. You got guys like Platoon, who's been leading Waterloo to victory so much this season. And to be fair, it's hard to take leadership when your entire team is just winning every single game all season long.
Yeah, and that's the big thing here, is that you don't really know who's going to win. You can talk about legacy, but I mean, and you were talking about University of California San Diego being around for a very long time. The fact is, that was about 3, maybe 4 years ago now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
That's time for everybody to graduate and pretty much almost make an entire new team compared to what that was back in the day. So, I mean, obviously, it's still a great team. Both teams are. I can't stress enough, they're both undefeated. But still, don't know who's going to win here. This is a big clash. And it's very exciting to see, but we do have our first pick, not giving anything away from Waterloo as they lock in the Braum.
Yeah, all right, Braum coming in here as our first pick. Doesn't really give anything away. Usually you do want to prioritize range supports over melee, just generically, but when it comes to Braum, it doesn't get much better for tanky initiation. So you can do a lot of things with that. You can say run a triple AD carry composition. You can run big super tank all-in engage comps with things like Malphite. You want to pick that one up and just go super hard for that. Now that's not quite as good when you see the Gragas and Trundle, both very big disruption tanks. So if you want to have this coordinated engage, it kind of gets screwed up when there's pillars and explosive casks out there. So the biggest thing to watch out for is going to be the carry picks here, as it is for most drafts. So we're looking for the numbers of AD carries. Corki is banned, so that may make it a little bit less likely, but Ezreal's still on the table. But one thing that is not on the table anymore is Vayne. Platoon will be locking that one in for Waterloo.
Yeah, I didn't quite see the Vayne coming. Personally, I would have preferred to see an Ezreal, but that's just because I think Ezreal's a little bit more in the meta right now than Vayne. Vayne's I actually consider Vayne a niche pick right now. I totally understand it though, considering you're going against the Trundle. And let's talk about Trundle against Braum. Braum is actually pretty decent against Trundle, as it's easy to throw down your Q onto him. He's very telegraphed where Trundle's going to go, and end up getting the stun on him. So it is nice to have a Braum protect the Vayne against someone like a Trundle. But yeah, then you have Gragas, and if they lock in the Lissandra, which they just switched off of it, but if you did have a Lissandra, that would be something else that Braum could not stop. So
Oh, this Kayle pick could actually be really big too, because with Kayle and Trundle, tanks don't exist. Kayle will shred 15% of their resistances off. Trundle will steal, I think it's 20% of them over the course of his ultimate. And yeah, they're locking in both of those big tank shred champions. So when you see things like Braum, like Shen, then those are both going to be prime targets for both of that. One note is that Braum's Unbreakable blocks percentages of damage done. You can't steal percentage damage reduction with Trundle's ult. I think there was a little bit of misinformation that said you could do that with Alistar ult. You can't do it with either one of those, so you're not gonna be stealing those stats. Either way, great ways to shred those tanks, but it's all about where's the damage coming from. We got a Vayne, which is gonna be very good against some big tanky lineups. However, Kael's ultimate is I mean, Vayne just kind of sits there. It's like, all right, yeah. Peace out. We're coming back after that thing is done. But yeah, where's the damage coming from? You can see the Vayne, big tank chunkin' champion. Same thing with Kindred too. That percent health damage is going to be good. You probably won't see Callista, even though she does have that percent health damage as well, just because she did get hit with the Nerf bat pretty hard. Although I've heard some mixed results, but you're probably going to hold off on that pick. It's going to be the Kindred in the jungle, and you'll notice that Karma did get a big series of buffs over the most recent patch that we're playing on 6.6 currently, so really excited to see her in professional play. I've been seeing guys like Wicked and a bunch of other European top laners in solo queue pick her up and run her in the top lane, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case here. It's going to be a mid lane Karma for Waterloo.
Yeah, it's been nice for Karma lately, considering you have the I mean, they did up the what is it? It's a shield, right? Yeah,
that's
they
right.
did up the shield amount and gave it a lot bigger. Actually, I think doubled the AP ratio on it. So it's incredibly strong. AoE shields on Karma, I thought were really strong before. Now they're going to be even stronger. And you have shields coming out from even from the top lane Shin as well. I think they're just really focusing on protecting Platoon or whoever's not going to be on the Vayne, and just keeping the Vayne alive so you can dance around, shoot as much as possible, and try to outlast that Kael ultimate like you were talking about. Because once you throw down Divine Intervention, it truly is intervention against Vayne, because percent health damage doesn't matter when you're invulnerable.
Right, and against the Kael and LeBlanc, you're going to be seeing a Locket of the Iron Solari be built as well. So that's 2 AoE shields at the same time. Plus, when you give AoE magic resistance, it sort of mitigates a lot of the shred that Kael's going to be putting out there. It's going to be a really interesting comp for Waterloo, just based on how they run these shields and sort of protect the carry composition. In this case, it's not even a mid lane carry; it's kind of support. I mean, it does a lot of damage, but your real carries are going to be the Kindred and the Vayne to watch out for on Waterloo. Of course, on the other side for UCSD, it's not a big engage composition. It's going to be about splitting, assassinating. You want to split the Shen off of the back line, maybe split the tanks off of protecting the Vayne and the Kindred. And especially good to see the Gragas pick there. That's why the Kindred is a little bit questionable, because Gragas, Janna, Lee Sin, Poppy, anything that can push champions out of Lamb's Respite, you're not invulnerable if you just get knocked out by a Gragas cask. So that's a little bit of a counter pick there for UCSD that they'll be able to use to great effect. Somewhat hilarious effect too, if you see a lot of low health targets. Gragas is just like, get out of here, guys. We get this healing. You guys don't. There's no rule that says that Kindred's team gets the benefit there. You can always knock them out, and check that one out too. So
yeah, that was always a fun time whenever you first played Kindred, when she first came out, and you just healed the enemy by accident because you know any better.
Yeah, I had a
did that all the time.
I had a support Janna. It was like, hey, let me just heal everybody up here, pushes everybody outside, and that's that's one way to do it. But let's go ahead and talk about some of our sponsors before we take a quick commercial break and get in a game. I know I want to see these guys fight. You guys want to see it. And so before we do that, we do have to give a quick commercial take a quick commercial break, but not before shouting out our sponsors. You guys are watching that right here on Twitch TV, and of course, a big thanks to the guys at Twitch TV for allowing us to broadcast this, helping us with the promotion. Couldn't do it without them or our sponsors over at Brain Gear. If you've never heard about Brain Gear before, it's basically you do a lot of things to keep up your body, your hygiene, keep yourself healthy. Well, Brain Gear is a good way to get your brain in gear. It's a scientifically developed 2-ounce formula. It provides you focus and clarity while you're gaming, gives you long-term brain health benefits with tons of vitamins like B12, B6, green tea extract, and stuff like that. So it's good. It's good for you, and so you definitely want to check that out. It's also good for esports because they're helping support us this season. So of course, big thanks to them for helping us out.
Yeah, and of course, thank you, Asus Rogue, as well. Republic of Gamers, they are helping fund the, well, actually not helping, they are funding this season's travel to DreamHack along with the prize pool. So go check them out on Twitter at Asus_ROG and tell them thank you for sponsoring CSL. But timer's counting down. We're going to be on the Rift in just a moment, so stick around and watch the two big undefeated teams clash in the round of 32. Don't go anywhere.
welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are finally in the game. Apologies for the brief delay. Let's go ahead and get things started out with everything underway. So we did miss maybe the first minute or two of the game, but here we are. And while I go ahead and rearrange these champions, Fekas, why don't you let us know what's going on?
Yeah, no problem, man. So yeah, Waterloo, they're actually out farming quite heavily on the I think that's the blue side. Waterloo's on the blue side. Yes, Waterloo's on the blue side. I remember they had a lane swap or a team change there at the beginning. But yeah, actually haven't been seeing too much besides just superior farming from Waterloo so far in the early going. It's evening out in the top lane. The Kale is coming back just a little bit, but still big discrepancy in the mid and jungle, or not jungle, bot lane I should say. Jungle is gonna get to. Hasn't really seen too much action. There hasn't been any ganks yet, so nothing too much to report. First blood is still up for grabs. Yeah, that's essentially all that's happened right now. It's just been farming and farming, and Waterloo's been coming up a little bit ahead on that one, specifically in this mid lane, and you would kind of expect that from a Karma. Karma typically farms a lot easier than an early level LeBlanc, but right now it's 32 farm to 18 in that mid lane, so looking to see how that one goes. And it looks like Automobile 5 actually does have a slight level advantage as well. He's poking under tower onto Azula. At least trying his best.
That's like if colors had genders, Azula would be a blue girl.
Yeah.
That's what I learned from all my years of taking Spanish in high school, because
that's the only thing you learned.
Pretty much.
That's sad.
I also learned that, hey man.
I don't want to talk about it. We'll talk about it another time.
All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about the matchups. We can just Shen versus Kale. Shen doesn't get to play League of Legends here. He has to sit there and just take all that harass from Kale. It's not really pretty. I can turn it around with ganks. Of course, that's what we're about to see happen right there with Automobile 5 and Sherb walking all the way up there around the sneaky path. Come in behind Ixen Bay, and it would have been actually a great gank if they had committed to it, but decided against it. Ran back to the mid lane, and now Automobile 5 just gonna chill there and try to catch up in. I say catch up and see, I was actually ahead by about 5.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna point out. He's actually doing a decent job staying on par, so it's not too bad. He is taking some damage though, but it looks like Ixen Bay is going to go back. Has a teleport, has a 1,400 gold to spend. And I'll be honest, I'm not 100% confident anymore on what the build path of Kale is. It's with the new how Gwynsu's is popular now, but you also have these other items like Runan's also good for her too. I mean, it's kind of tricky what you build on Kale right now.
Gwynsu's is no longer like the rush item on Kale. Usually you want to go for a Nashor's Tooth first, just because it's like so many synergistic stats. It even actually used to give mana regen as well, but they took that stat off of there after a while. So yeah, Nashor's Tooth is the first item, then you're going to go for Gwynsu's Rage Blade, and then maybe a Wit's End after that, depending on which kind of build you're going. You can still go for things like a Runan's Hurricane if you're really feeling the attack speed. And you can go pretty much every boot on Kale too. You can go Swifties, you can go more or magic resistance shred from Sorcerer's Shoes. You can go cooldown reduction boots. So a lot of options there. Gank coming down bottom lane though.
Dogman Pirate in the bot lane already has that explosive cast and knocks him back, but Platoon getting Stand United casted onto him. Lake is down there, but here comes a teleport from Zenbei. Too late though. First blood does go over to the big Trundle. Let's see if they can pick up any more. It looks like they are going to force a flash out of Lake. Big pickup by University of California, San Diego.
Platoon kind of looked a little lost there. I mean, in amongst all of those tanks, it can be hard to find, the optimal 80 carry route for you to path to avoid all of that big hard engage, but just really difficult spot for him to find himself in. So not the greatest, performance there. First blood getting given over, and even though Sherb is here for the dragon, and Ward actually in the back was not cleared out, so this probably isn't going to be a dragon that we see UCSD take.
Not quite yet. We're going to drive back. UCSD. Waterloo is in no position to take it either, though, so it's just going to be a dragon sitting in his pit collecting levels until somebody comes and kills him. Poor guy. But, yeah, it was a nice pickup by XPFC in the top lane. Or actually, it was technically in the bottom lane, but... Oh, no, that's the support. That's the support Trundle. Look at that. All right, never mind. That's the support Trundle to pick that up. My bad on that one. But yeah, still a nice pickup because yeah, right. Well, I was thinking that during the Champions League too. We didn't actually pick that one up, and I was surprised, and then I just kind of forgot about it because talking about Kale, who's in top lane. Anyway,
Trundle no longer just a
yeah,
top lane champion. I remember when
know.
Trundle was a jungle champion. Looks like
I
we might have a pause here while we
Speaking of
go
Trundle,
ahead, yeah, and get that young Trundle back into the game, which does give us time to talk about the Trundle. Why is Trundle a support champion? You guys might be asking. Maybe you haven't played League of Legends in like 3 seasons. You're like, okay, well,
apparently
Trundle's
I haven't.
yeah.
Jeez.
Well, Trundle is he's pretty good at being a support for a couple of different reasons. One, he's really big and tanky. He can steal defensive stats. So even though traditionally you use that against tanks, you can use that against supports, against junglers if they come and you have a 3v3. But the you pick him for the late game when he can shred tanks like Shen. But you also pick him for the early trades in lane because he can steal attack damage from the enemy AD carry. And when you put up a pillar, it's just really difficult to do anything. You just sort of just stand there because the slow and the object blocking your path is really difficult to deal with. So it can be really good. And when you're talking about trying to avoid the culling that's going to be coming at you, using a pillar to it makes that a lot easier to hit as well. So doubly, there's a lot of different reasons for the benefit of having Trundle as your support, and they only get even better as the game draws on because shredding tanks with Trundle is just so invaluable.
Yeah, and there's this, so staying on the bot lane. I want to talk about this. I've been seeing this more and more, and I want to get your opinion on it. So we see Maxi started out with a Doran's Blade, but then goes back and gets a Cull. I've been seeing Culls pop up on ADCs a lot more than they used to, and not just in collegiate level, but also in the solo queue, high elo solo queue, but also LCS every now and then too. Why is that?
Okay, so Cole, and there's actually a recent video produced by this YouTuber named Fi about why Cole is good. There's also a really great article on LoL King, written by Shakara, is about why Cull is so good. And it's basically your gold curve. So when you buy a Doran's Blade and then sell it, you're losing about 280 gold. But when you buy a Cull, stack it up, and then sell it, you're actually gaining about about a 600 gold difference between the two, I think it was.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, you're getting a lot of gold for it, and the on-hit lifesteal is such a powerful stat, especially when you put it on things like AD carries that build Runan's Hurricane, or for Lucian, because he gets that double tap from Lightbringer passive, he gets twice the lifesteal off of that, so it's 6 health every Lightbringer, which is really, really cool, and you can actually get a lot of health back over quite a while. Plus, I mean, it's a bonus gold. Who says no to that? So, plus, we're going to see an extended lane phase during this game because, Waterloo
No lane swaps.
Yeah, no lane swaps. Waterloo want to keep Vayne in lane, just farming it out. They don't have any losing matchups, except for Shen. They'll probably devote jungle pressure to that. But we got all kinds of tethers going on in the mid lane. Look at that damage.
So much damage coming out from Automobile 5, and there's a flash and an auto attack, but no, Azula trying to pick it back up, has the Ignite down onto Automobile. But it looks like Deadman's pirate, the Dogman Pirate, rather, is going to pick up that kill, flash and a body slam. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Platoon, it'll aggress on a little bit. There's a defensive ult from Jun Young, and here comes the calling. It's not going to be able to pick up Platoon. He gets stunned down by the Winter's Bite from Hyung. Looks like there's a flash coming out from XPFC after the pillar. So a little bit trigger happy on those flash buttons, but maybe necessary. Everyone does live in the bottom, but a lot of summoners blown.
Yeah, and kind of well played there by Braum. You actually noticed Jun Hyung stopped the culling by proccing concussive blows, and I'm not sure if that was necessarily what saved Vayne's life, but it definitely did contribute to that. So good to see that, and you'll notice Kindred not too concerned with actually killing champions, just wants to stack off of that the Scuttle Crab.
Right.
In the river. So
yeah, and actually I believe Platoon picked up that Scuttle Crab. I don't think he got the stack for that. If he
well, you get stacks for assists as well, don't you?
It doesn't. Yeah, I think he does on his Devour. Does he on his actual passive? I don't even think the Scuttle was marked anyway, so that didn't matter anyway. So yeah, I think he mission accomplished. I think he still got the stacks on the Devour.
Right, so still getting those stacks, and yeah, it should be noted this is Devourer Kindred. We've seen a switch
Oh my gosh, yeah.
recently between going for Warrior Enchant Kindred, which is still really good. You don't have to stack that up. You can get an early power spike there, but I think the prevalence is that games are going to draw later on, and Devourer is just so ridiculously stat effective, even on ranged champions like Kindred. When you get to the late game, so better just pick that one up, and you know that time is on your side when it comes to stacking that up. But I mean, if you do get crushed early on, you're a whole lot more useless than you would be if you had gone Warrior Enchant.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely the payoff for Devourer is so huge right now. Like you said, especially with just the double proc of the percent health damage from passive. More than likely, also going to be able to Blade of Ruin King on Kindred is normally what you buy to get double the percent health damage. So really effectively, like you said, if you get those stacks and you don't fall too far behind. But if the game goes on long enough, that might not matter. And I mean, they're kind of already have a late game thing already with the with Platoon's Vayne. So we'll see what happens when Waterloo gets into these team fights, because it's gonna really rely on these positioning from Platoon and Sure. But they have a lot to protect them with Stand United, big shields from Automobile, and of course Jun Hyung throwing down the Glacial Fissure.
There's no shield quite like an Automobile shield. Reminds me of Transformers. Like, you literally have Automobile shields. Sounds good to me. I would want one of those as my shield if I had to pick one. Of course, you've also got that Unbreakable shield. Unbreakable shields also strike me as a pretty good idea. It is actually a door.
Yeah, it's not even
sit that one right in front of you, chill behind it, and you're good. And yeah, Braum into Lucian is a great support pick, because the culling pretty much does nothing.
Yeah, hold on. We have a little bit of aggression in the mid lane. Might be seeing Dogman Pirate. Doesn't look like he got a successful gank off. Sherb is making his way to the mid lane, though. But a little bit of aggression in the bot lane. Platoon cannot get that third Silver Bolt proc onto C Max Z, so...
Yeah, it's all about the numbers of procs here. You get, whoa, that crit on a C Maxi.
Oh my god.
That's a little up there as far as damage is concerned. And there's the Silver Bolts. And this Vayne, oh, nice attempt there on the pillar. And there is the culling coming out. Not actually blocked, but it didn't really deal that much damage. And yeah, C Maxi's still feeling some struggles down there.
And actually in the top lane, as Xinbei kind of having some troubles against a Shin, but hold on, gank in the bot lane, nice explosive cast.
Oh my gosh.
Shoving him into the enemy turret along with a Jun Hyung. They both go down. See Maxi and the Dogman Pirate picking up a kill. Very nice explosive cast.
Yeah, we're actually going to catch an instant replay of that just a few seconds ago. Perfect cast underneath the turret. And yeah, that's all she wrote afterwards. So just going to go ahead, speed things back up to live, and here we go. So instant replay brought to us by our friends at, well, I guess, League of Legends.
Rapid casting, really.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah,
all right.
Let's give credit where credit's due here.
I mean, half of that is me just actually wanting to see that again. It's so sick. Like, whenever I play Gragas Jungle, I just, like, close my eyes and dream of making that happen. But here, we can actually see it done by players who are much better. So, looking...
Yeah, there's someone like me, you, like, flash, and then you throw it past them, and then you just walk away.
Yeah, you're like, nobody saw that. No replays of that.
Everybody saw it. You know it deep down inside.
And that's why we're watching this. So, all right, we're going to attempt to invade there, and oh my gosh, the blue buff not stolen away by Xinbei. Got in there for some assist. How nice of him to help the enemy Kindred. But to be fair, that did force the smite on the blue buff, so it's on Sherb instead of putting it on Automobile 5, which is still kind of a win there for UCSD, because they're keeping the blue buff off of Waterloo's mid lane carry.
Yeah, and that's a desperate move by Xinbei. It's very nice having the presence to know that they're going for the blue and go down and try to steal it. But he's not having very good luck in the top lane. He's actually out CS by about 25. Actually, I think 28. Math. So he's being out CS by 28 right now. He's not having a good time against Lake Shin. He's actually getting out damaged, and Shin is able to absorb everything, still build tanky, and out trade Xinbei's Kale. So, very good decision to try to go into the jungle and disrupt Sherb. If he would have gotten that, would have been a lot. It would have been obviously huge, but I don't think he lost too much by not staying in the lane, because he's already not doing too much being in the lane. Or pauses.
Oh boy. Well, for the time being, after that big gank in the bottom lane that did put CMAXC and XPFC a little bit ahead, by a little bit, I mean they're still about even as far as CS is concerned, but the real advantage there is going to come when you look at the Cull stacking up gold, and if you just check out the total gold for both carries, it's about a 400 gold advantage for Lucian. It's the Cull, the kill, and all of that stacking up there. The lane that I'm actually really surprised about is the top lane. I expected Kayle to have a much bigger advantage there, being ranged versus melee, and of course having the ability to shred through Shen's defensive stats. But it's actually about a 25 CS advantage for Shen up there. So Lake putting in work up there. We've already seen Lake perform very well when we cast Waterloo. I believe it was the 3rd week of the season.
It's an impeccable memory if you remember that.
It was very early on. I can remember that because Waterloo has always traditionally been a very strong collegiate school when it comes to esports, and so it definitely sticks in my mind that Lake's been putting up the big numbers. But also Platoon, when this guy gets Vayne, like that's sort of the power pick, and so you can see there's a team built not necessarily totally around him, but with a lot of support there from the team to help this Vayne excel. However, this early game has not been going his way necessarily, and so we're going to need to see maybe a little bit more time for this Vayne to really spike up, or just give him the team fights that he needs with the big tank line coming in front of him, see how well that works out. But 0-2, not the way you want to start.
And so far, the Dogman Pirate's been pretty spot on with these explosive casts, not just in the bottom lane, but elsewhere as well. It's 2-0-2 right now, 100% kill participation, so doing a great job being an impact in this game. Speaking of impact, or I guess lack thereof, Sherb, he hasn't been showing his presence anywhere. He's been trying, it's been failing. He's 0-0-0. Nothing's really happening for him, and it's right now it's on him to just, I guess, stay alive.
Well, to be fair though, he does have a Devourer enchant, so if he can just stay alive and farm up, that's gonna be an advantage for them as well. The other 0-0-0 score, of course, on the other team would be Ixinbei in the top lane. Hasn't really shown up on that Kayle quite yet, but once again, incredible scaling on Kayle, so you really don't need to perform early because you're gonna scale when the game draws later and later on.
Is very true, and of course does have the teleport, so could make a surprise gank somewhere, but then again you're going against Lake, who's on Shin, who has the Stand United and a teleport. So let's see. Okay, so this is where he's beginning out damage. Even taunting, he's obviously auto-attacking him, doing a great job of dishing out some damage, but Lake is just doing it better. And Ixinbei doing all he can to farm, but now he's getting ganked. We've maybe seen a little bit of effectiveness from Sherb in the top lane.
Getting that stack too, and that's
Yeah,
going to be more
nice
percent damage. That's the 4th stack, the Mark of the Kindred coming in for Sherb, who you were just talking about needing to put up some numbers. Hey, there you go.
Hey, listen, it's on a 3-minute delay, but I guess he just seen the future. Or, just knew that he needed to do that because Ixinbei, while he's not allowing himself to, not allowing Shin to be pushed too far, he's overextended quite a bit, so very easy target for Sherb.
Yeah, now going to go in here for the 2-stack Rift Herald. 2-manning it, just definitely going to make it pretty easy to take. And so, yeah, going from 21 to 23 stacks on that Devourer. Of course, going to pick up 2 more stacks off of this Rift Herald, Rift Scuttler, Rift Herald, both of them giving you 2 stacks, and that's actually a big win, and in fact, almost fully stacked. There's 25 stacks on the Devourer by 19 minutes. That is pretty good, and so, yeah, going to go down here, and if he's able to get the Dragon with the rest of Waterloo, that's a fully stacked Devourer, a little bit ahead of schedule. Lots of chains starting to latch.
Big amount of damage onto Automobile, but Stand United does come out. Double taunt onto the damage dealers. Azula trying to get in there, does not get the kill out of that one. Ignite is on him now, but there's 5 strong for University of California San Diego against Waterloo. Waterloo's actually 4 in the mid because Platoon, he's still bot lane.
Right, and that's actually really good by Platoon. He's going to be able to take this turret. He's probably going to die for it, and I don't think that's worth it. He needs to be able to stay alive. Will he get out of here alive? This pillar is going to be big. Where's it going to go? Is it good? It is!
It is, but he does get the taunt. He gets the condemn out. There's explosive cast. Platoon pinned against the wall. Is it going to be enough? No, he's still going to stay alive. And now Shun Young and Sherb are in the bot lane, but Ixinbei flashing in, trying to pick up a kill. Sherb does take down XPFC. And there's a divine intervention going to keep Ixinbei alive. So out of all of that one, Platoon did go down, but so did XPFC. Platoon third time he's died so far.
And he could have lived
form.
too there. He went back in to try to get the damage down on Trundle, which was necessary. He kind of overstayed, could have gotten out more quickly. Either way, it's a kill's a kill. The downside, though, is that even though, Sherb's picking up some kills for his team, he's not, Vayne not able to stay alive there, and Sherb didn't ult, which is the bigger question mark for me. Because that's that location where you press the R button to save your carry. Didn't happen, and so somewhat questionable there. The other thing is that while Sherb has been able to pick up these kills, which do put stacks on your Devourer, he's not picking up big stack objectives like that dragon afterwards after losing that fight because the AD carry died. So still a good fight, a good player to put your kills on, and you'll notice that this is a different kind of Kindred. This is going to be the Runan's Hurricane build off of that along with that fully sated Devourer. So lots of attack speed, lots of spread damage. And the reason you want Runan's Hurricane on Kindred is because people started thinking, hey, you're gonna have a lot of champions staying in that Lamb's Respite. Why not just be able to deal crazy tons of damage in close proximity? And so that's the situation where that Runan's really shines.
Yeah, and he actually does have a fully stacked Sated Devourer now, so he's going to be dishing out a huge amount of damage in addition to his other massive amount of damage from his own passive. So, yeah, it's gonna be hard coming into these team fights if they can coordinate everything. And yeah, Lamb's Respite needs to be used. That is a big thing. Azula, though, getting taunted, actually half health just by the Shin alone. This is impressive. Shin is incredibly powerful. I don't know sure why I don't see him as often as I do, or as often as I should, but he's I feel like not enough people play him. Dogman Pirate.
That was a good Grag Assault opportunity if he had wanted to go for it. But Azula's pretty low, so better to just shove the wave out and head back to base.
And Lamb's Respite was still up from Sherb, so might have countered on him actually using it this time around.
Yeah, always a possibility, but not guaranteed, that's for sure. But I got him. And now we're back to blue buffs. This one not going to get stolen away or smited. It is actually going to go on the mid laner, Azula there. It's the support wars, but actually going in with Platoon on the flank. There's the Shen ult too.
And United coming out as well. Cannot get a third proc onto the Troll though, so he flashes over the wall and stays alive. Meanwhile, in the top lane, UCSD able to take out a turret of their own. They're able to answer back the objective.
Yeah, big rotation down here by Waterloo to the bottom lane, and while they won't be able to really make a whole lot happen down there, the cut through the enemy jungle did cause a lot of chaos, especially with a kind of rough recall timing there by Azula, not in the mid lane, not able to defend that mid turret, and that's going to be another turret for Waterloo. So makes the big plays as a team. Of course, that's really been happening for both teams too. You just saw that dragon be taken by UCSD after the big team fight in the bottom lane. So both teams on the objectives, and you can see that reflected in the gold count, pretty much even, although the first dragon of the game did go over to UCSD. And you can already see them swapping up their trinkets, if I can say that. 4 blue trinkets, 1 sweeper, and that's pretty late game. I always like to see teams that keep around an extra warding totem, but you don't really need to do that when your jungler picks up the tracker's knife, because that's going to give you sort of the double warding options. And we also see an Eye of the Equinox picked up for some slot efficiency down there as well. Also going to give you those wards, so no warding totems, all blue trinkets, and of course lots of wards off of that tracker's knife.
Yeah, hold on, there's an ultimate coming out from Platoon, and now he might be finding himself on a bad position. Or no, the damage is actually going to be there. Going to be able to take down C Maxi, and now he's going to try to kite around XPFC, but Dogman Pirate is there. Meanwhile, Waterloo, they're starting up Baron, and it looks like UCSD, they know it. They're going to go in. Can they take it? Who's going to get it? Sure, they ended up securing it, so Waterloo has the Baron, Divine Intervention rather, on Xinbei, but it's not going to save him for too long. Sure, picks up that kill, 3-0-0 now. He is trying to steamroll himself into this mid game.
Impressive gank there by Dogman Pirate to just completely bust Platoon out of this world. Unfortunately, when your jungler commits to the gank bottom lane, You guys joke about Vayne spotting and how you always see the Vaynes just like tumble in 1v5 and die instantly. Well, in that situation, that's like the only situation where it's actually okay, because the rest of your team, they're getting Barons. So,
Azula.
oh man, Shen ult effective. Kindred ult is available, but once again unused. And our button's there for a reason, man, and it. You know, it's
I don't think we've seen a Lambs despite this entire game.
No, we haven't. That feel when you're playing with a keyboard where the R button just doesn't work. But hey, he's 3-0, man. He has not needed it yet, and he finally has completed that Maw of Malmortius. This is going to be a very hard Kindred to deal with, because she's going to have that Rage passive. She's going to be getting 3 bolts at a time proccing. Also unkillable if she does press the R button, and you've got now working on double Lockets of the Iron Solari with those 2 Aegises. So Agi, whatever. Either
one of them could be going into the banner command.
Oh, that's
though.
very true. Shen's is probably going into the banner of the command. They both have the same passive, but yeah, they could be going for the opposite builds.
So still a lot of, I guess, aura magic resist if you want to go that route, which is, you know, makes sense considering you do have Kale. You're going against a Kale, a Gragas, and a LeBlanc. Why not have 2 of them? Yeah, like you said, Maw of Malmortius is completed for sure. That's going to help him quite a bit stay alive during these team fights, because he's not going to use his R button. So he's going to need something. The defenses is what he's going to have to use. He's actually caught out. May want to use it this time. Actually flashes out instead of uses that R button. So
as a little greedy. Sherb was trying to make that outplay where you tumble away from the body slam. Gets it, but now, oh, XPFC.
Oh my gosh, so much damage coming out onto XPFC. It actually goes down. Sherb picking up kill. There's Lamb's Respite. Going to be able to save Automobile. Explosive Cash trying to knock him out. See Maxi picking up Platoon. Platoon now 1-5-2, but there's a shutdown onto Sherb from Azula, and now UCSD, they're on the offensive, chasing down Lake, who's
pretty immortal.
Yeah, I would say he's pretty tanky, but he's gonna flash anyways. Well, and now the Dragon may go over to UCSD.
Yeah, and the reason Lake was so tanky is because nobody was hitting him. He got completely separated from the carry line that just ran backwards. He was kind of stuck in the front, so great splitting there, and that's why you need that Gragas ultimate. Really good at countering out the Lamb's Respite, and even though it didn't knock everybody out of it, the disruption was still very key. You saw Lake was on one side of the Dragon Pit, and the rest of the carry lineup was completely on the other side, which is exactly the way that you want to split things apart when you have that, you know, Shen to keep him from protecting the carry. So at the end of everything, that's more kills for UCSD. You're getting more dragons for them as well, and even though the scaling continues from this now 4-1 Kindred, Vayne non-factor at 1 and 5. The Shen also dealt with very, very well, and this is starting to look a little bit rough here for Waterloo as the game continues.
They still are ahead in gold though. It's not, yeah, it's almost not saying too much because most of that gold is on Sherb. So if he gets deleted, then that's almost, you know, about 70% of the power of Waterloo. So he has to be very careful. Did use Lamb Respite that last team fight. Did not keep him alive for too long though, and UCSD was still able to take that team fight. See if they can recover and position a little bit better. Explosive Cast was pretty pivotal for from the Dogman Pirate in that team fight. And that's the thing too, even though you're in Lamb's Respite, if you're full health, you can still get taken down health by quite a bit. That's something you still need to work around, because you can still die right when Lamb's Respite goes off.
Right. Another thing that should be mentioned, like you mentioned, Waterloo's still ahead in gold. Almost every single lane is ahead in CS by quite a lot. You got like 35 CS advantage top lane, 20 CS advantage in the jungle. Same situation mid. It's actually even bigger than that. It's starting to get up towards like 40 CS advantage there. And even the 80 carries are completely even though there was that bonus gold from Cull for Lucian. All I'm trying to say is Waterloo, they're pretty good at killing minions, and that is really keeping them in the game, even though there's some kind of rough score lines, the 1 and 5 for Vayne, chief among them. And this is a much different Vayne build. We used to see things like a Static Shiv, Phantom Dancer, a lot of attack speed built up. There's no PD, there's no Blade of the Ruined King or anything like that. It's just a Shiv for wave clear to get as much CS as possible, and the Infinity Edge. So probably looking for, I'm not sure, I'm guessing that's Bloodthirster coming out next, but that's still, you know, not your standard Vayne build by any means.
Yeah, I do see a lot of Vayne's go the rapid fire cannon to just position himself a little bit better for that first auto attack as well.
Yeah.
Not seeing it this time because he wants to farm a little bit more.
That's where you see the Veins start building Runan's Hurricane for triple Silver Bolt procs.
Oh yeah.
Don't try that. It doesn't work. So I'm just kidding. Just you know, trolling as it were. And speaking of which, XPFC, he's got his completed Lock of the Iron Solari. He actually got the special Lock of the Iron Solari. That's so special it gave him the blurry item icon instead of the clear item icon for that we see Lake having picked up. So
that's interesting.
it actually clears up when it's used on activation. It's just for the first time. But
Gotcha.
nice to see I get cleared up. Here we go, pushing in the mid lane. But we're running a 1-3-1, and this is exactly what Waterloo want to make happen. So you've got Kindred ult and a lot of shields and disengage in the mid lane in case they get trapped. So that's a pretty safe 3-man there to run. It's a lot less safe when Gragas is there, so that's the real threat there. But then you've got Shen and Vayne to split push. The real sort of, I guess, you know, wrench in the gears is that Vayne, who's supposed to be super great at split pushing, you know, doesn't is not super great when she's 1 and 5. That is a Bloodthirster picked up, so yeah, not the big attack speed Vayne builds that we're used to seeing. I'd expect something like a Phantom Dancer if you're gonna go for that split push, because the percentage damage and kiting help that it gives you is just really, really good in 1v1s. But hey man, we're watching this Vayne, and now it's no longer a 1-3-1. We start seeing the classic Shen split push with Vayne now rejoining the rest of her team.
Yeah, and it's like I said, Platoon just needs to work a little bit on his placement here in this game. It's not been doing too great, and you've been getting caught out a lot too. But as you can see, okay, so 1-5-2, still able to chunk. It's a support trundle, but still able to chunk nonetheless. So just needs to shoot anything in front of him and not try to get to the back lines. I think Platoon would be a happy camper if he does that one. But it looks like in the bot lane, Xinbei trying to counter the split push by Lake and actually out-pushing him, pushing him into his own turret. And May actually make Waterloo think twice if they want to go for this Baron. They're going to lose something forward if Xinbei stays down there.
Yeah, and I don't think Lake can really deal with this Kale anymore. Just so much attack speed, just shredding things out there. I mean, he's a pretty big tank down there. Once he gets Thornmail, Lake will have another big power spike that might make it a little bit easier to deal with. But Xinbei he's in a little bit of an interesting spot. Does need to keep it careful. Kale has no crowd control, so there's no way to keep a Lake from teleporting to the rest of his team. I think the best thing that Xinbei can do is just keep threatening to push that turret.
And yeah, the objective control, yeah, that's going to be the CC that he needs, because yeah, if he leaves, like I said, they're going to be losing at least one turret, possibly two, and that would be an inhibitor turret. But speaking of turrets going down,
really?
Slowly.
Yeah, surprised that UCSD didn't pull the trigger there, because
they have the engage properly set up for it.
Yeah, and Waterloo just walk up, take a turret, no big deal. NP, walking around.
Yeah, I mean, it's golden there, you know.
All right, well, we do have Dragon and Baron up, so both of those are going to be pretty big objectives. We do see 2 Dragons on UCSD, so if they get this next one, it's a lot of extra movement speed. Get your rotatos going on if you want to do move around the map a little bit more quickly.
Baron, it's warded. That's about it. And as you see, oh, hold on. Xinbei just going to be soloing the Dragon for his team here. That's the 3rd Dragon for
wow.
UCSD. So that's actually, it's starting to get substantial that Waterloo needs to focus.
Yeah, they just get that for free. I would do an instant replay, but I'm pretty sure you guys know what taking a Dragon looks like. If you've never killed a dragon in League of Legends, no joke. I had a friend who was like level 12, just started playing the game. I told him you could kill the dragon. He's like, yeah, man, I tried a few times, but it's really strong, and I couldn't kill it. I was like,
well, kid.
Yeah, you gotta get the rest of your team there. Well, Xinbei doesn't listen to advice like that. He just killed the dragon on his own, and he's incredibly strong. And I love the itemization choice. He's going for a gunblade. That's the big difference between Shen and I guess, Kale in this situation. Shen able to have a lot of sustain from that Spirit Visage, and just from Grasp of the Undying. He's even got sort of the Shen rework, now makes it sustain come off of those 3 items after you call your sword back to you. A lot of sustain there. Well, Kale didn't have any, and so that was what was really winning Shen that matchup. Now will not be winning it quite so much thanks to some of the sustain being bought off of that Gunblade that we should see coming in for Ixinbei here pretty soon. The other itemization choice would have been like a Lich Bane, but this is much more of a sustain damage item build rather than like the big death cap burst Kale builds that we're used to seeing.
See, I would have never guessed that. That's why I'm silver. I have no idea how to itemize Kale. You know, the Lich Bane used to be popular, but yeah.
I mean, she's a hybrid champion. You just build whatever you want on her. There's
I used to see Triforce Kales just every now and then for trolls, but it hurt kind of.
Yeah, another big AP item that used to be really common on Kale is the Zonya's Hourglass, so you could just like have tons of invulnerability.
Jesus, so annoying. Yeah. I don't know. They have so many champions that can be invulnerable right now. Between Lambs or Spite, and having anybody that has Zonyas, and now you also always had Divine Intervention, but man.
So we got a couple of things going on right now. We've got the split push tug of war down there in the bottom half of the map, which is not going to be very effective because Shen's just going to hug the turret. Kale not strong enough to just kill turrets by herself. And that's one of the reasons that Shen is so good at defending turrets, not because he's good at clearing waves. He's actually pretty terrible at clearing waves.
It's that Sunfire Cape.
But because as a ranged champion, you can't just stand by the turret and hit it, because you just get taunted like that, and then the turret starts hitting you. Shen actually walked out of turret aggro range.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, so there was no aggro there. And yeah, now without that taunt up, you can see Kale just walking forward, killing it off. There's no lifesteal there.
Doing no damage to him, though. His Lake is just sustaining through all that. He's not even worried.
Yeah.
He lost a turret, but he didn't even take any damage. It was hilarious.
Yeah, the magic damage you do as Kale on hit is not... you don't get Spell Vamp applied to that, so sorry, man. You're going to need some lifesteal for that. But yeah, here we go. Baron number 2 started up, and this time it's actually UCSD on it. Teleport coming in. Lake coming in from base.
Are they going to peel away from the Baron? It looks like UCSD are going to peel away, and there's a full engage. Zinbei the Divine Intervention, stay alive. Automobile 5 taking out Azula in the beginning portion of this. Culling coming down. Platoon, he hasn't been touched. This might be his time to shine. Positioned himself very well. Not a crit onto that Zinbei. Is the red buff going to do it though? It is not. I think Zinbei is
wait, what?
Still go down. Can flash from a Sherb, able to pick him up. And now Waterloo turning in onto this Baron because they are 5 versus only 2 on the Rift from UCSD.
It's like, this is my Baron. They're like, no.
Yeah, pretty much,
this is our Baron. And now it will be theirs. Kindred can do Baron so fast. Completely zoned out there. Yeah, just beautiful engage there. The teleport and Ixinbei got bursted immediately. And when he came out of his invulnerability at 2 HP, is like, okay, I really can't fight at this point. I'm just going to have to go away now. And
then he died.
Yeah, and then he died at the end and wound up giving Kindred another stack. Let's go ahead and check this. Marks of the Kindred, 8 of them for a total of 10% max health damage. That's a little bit rough to deal with.
Yeah, the Sherb is on fire right now. He is destroying, and even Platoon. Like I said, Platoon, he's been kept down, but he's been farming so much, so long. 1 in 5, which was previous to that team fight, doesn't even matter anymore. He's able to dish out a huge amount of damage. Yeah, it's Waterloo, their team comp, they've hit a massive spike, and it doesn't look like it's going to be slowing down considering Sherb keeps getting kills, which means he just keeps getting stronger.
Yeah, and now kind of will the tides of battle turn? It's like, yes, they will. So now it's Baron on Waterloo pushing in. You're going to need a couple of things to really sort of go the right way here. You're going to need a Trundle ultimate on Shen to keep him from being just absolutely unkillable, and some way to lock down Platoon in the back. We talked about how rough having a 1-5 score was. You could have a 0-10 score, and as long as your team peels for you, that true damage guarantees your usefulness. So let's see how useful this Vayne is going to be. You can even just have like the Braum, Shen just tank turrets by themselves. It doesn't really matter anymore because they basically don't take damage.
So damage done. Bot lane inhibitor is down. And there is a big pillar coming out from XPFC. Actually blocked off most of his team, but also blocked off Platoon from chasing. So damage. I guess it was a very nicely placed pillar. looks like Waterloo, they're going to aggress into the top lane now. Trying to pressure more of these turrets. This is their game to lose. 72k to 65k. Calling coming out. Going to be clearing the waves, but here comes another, just another wave right behind them. Empowered minions. Going to be hard to just completely take out instantly like you want to. Zinbei, he gets chunked. There's a flash. There's a taunt. Zinbei puts down the divine intervention, going to stay alive. Lake is on the enemy, inside the enemy base, and does not care. He's absorbing every piece of damage that is being thrown at him. But now, maybe just a little bit too much. Zinbei, is he going to finally get this kill? He finally takes him down. Little engine that could. He got a kill.
It only took 40 minutes, but still more waves of Baron buffed up minions pushing in onto this upper turret. And gonna need to see an engage here. Getting on to Junhyung. Some damage out there, but oh, there's the LeBlanc damage on Automobile, forcing the flash out. There's the tether, starting to get some health back.
Oh,
there's finally the Lamb's
respite.
respite.
Platoon now. Is he going to be in a bad position? No, he actually is able to take out. See, Maxi flashes in, double kill, a triple kill. This is Platoon's time. Triple kill on the Vayne, and that actually might be game. Super minions are in the base, and there's only the Dogman Pirates Gragas to defend.
Yeah, and once again, it only took 40 minutes for Platoon to finally kick into gear. Still a little bit rough there. Oh no!
God, okay.
That damage a little bit rough, but with the Zula's suicide, probably best to just back off and not be the hero there. Now base turrets, Nexus turrets, they're all going down, and there's nothing that can kill Platoon. He's just going to sit there on the Nexus with a cheeky little condemn into that turret stub. Shutdowns, and there you go, 14 to 10. It's Waterloo to take game number 1 over UCSD.
So yeah, Platoon took a lot of time to get going, but Sure was there to pick up the slack in the early game, and for the last 5 minutes, let Platoon shine. So very nicely played by Waterloo, not getting discouraged by the 1-5 Vayne for the first 30 minutes, coming back, and this is a best of 3. We're going to go into a game number 2, Rapid.
Absolutely, so stick around, guys. Once again, big shout out to our sponsors, Brain Gear, Twitch, and Asus ROG. Of course, you guys for sticking around. Make sure to stick around. We'll be back with game number 2 coming in here in just a second.